So, hey, I got a lot of people who talk about being practice players, and I got a few thoughts on that because I used to be a practice player too. Used to dominate, used to crush it in practices, but when I got to the games, it looked like a completely different basketball player. And I wish I would have known then what I know now after talking to some sports psychologists and some mental performance coaches. Two things that stands out that I keep hearing over and over when I talk to them. The first thing is repetition, hard work. Like there's no replacement for putting in that work, for putting in those reps, for doing those drills faster than game speed so that you can deserve or have the right to even be confident in executing those things in front of a lot of people. So that's the first thing, like actually putting in the work, putting in the hours, going through the reps, going through the drills, and earning that right to be confident in the hard work that you've put in. The second thing is having the right mental focus. So I got a band on right now. It says what's important. Now I don't know if you can see that. It says WIN, and it stands for, it's probably backwards for y'all, it stands for what's important now. Kind of cheesy, kind of corny, but it's true. Like when you're practicing, all you're focusing on is hooping, like doing the right thing, is going off in practice. You don't worry about the cheerleader in the stands. You don't worry about who's going to see you if you mess up. You don't worry about what the coach has got to say. You don't worry about what your parents are going to say after the game. Like none of that stuff. You're just hooping in practice because you're focused and you're locked in on what's going on at that very single rep. And what's important now, when, is the mindset we got to be in to actually have access to all the training we put in. So that's why in practice for me, it was easier to actually go off in practice because I was focusing on what I actually needed to be doing. In the games, you got all the other distractions. Wait, what coach want me to do? Coach mad at me, parents yelling, somebody else is in the stands, like all these other distractions aside from like what actually matters in that very moment. And if you're not playing where your feet are, like focused on what's going on right in front of you, then you don't have the best chance of hooping. It's like trying to play actively in a sport this fast, that's this involved. You can't think in the past or hope in the future when you're playing the sport. You have to stay in the now, in the present, and that's where you have access to all the training. So my advice to anybody who would consider themselves a practice player, any parent who has an athlete who does better in practices but not as well in the games, is to, one, make sure they put in the reps, make sure they don't substitute hard work for anything and expect something that they don't deserve. Two, it would be to work on getting those mental reps, just like they do those physical reps. So focusing on what's important in that very moment and having that same mindset for the games as they do for practices. Think about Kobe and Mike, who made the practices harder than they did the games. And no wonder they used to perform in the games so easily and effortlessly because they've done it all the time in their practices. So that's my advice to you, the athlete, the mom, the dad. Put in the work in the gym and have the same mindset you do in the practices as you do in the game and focus on winning what's important now.